Our first topic of the day is decoding the future, the next generation internet for the digital economy. Please put your hands together for our first speaker, Hongfei, founder and CEO of NEO.
Good morning, everyone. It's really exciting to see you guys in Singapore, such a great place. It's probably the safest country in the world, with the cleanest environment, and also administrated by the most efficient government. And most importantly, this government, this administration, is embracing the digital economy. Singapore is one of the few countries, the first few countries introduced electronic visa, so you don't need to put a sticker of visa onto your passport. It's also introduced SingPass, a unified account for Singapore citizens to have access to government service from over 60 government agencies. So we are living in a connected digital world. Internet had become a crucial part of our daily life. But if you think about it, it had only been that way for maybe little more than a decade. Internet is only introduced to ordinary people maybe 2 decades ago, around 2000. I went to college in 1997. That is also the first year that I got access to internet. A year or 2 years later, around 1998, I heard of a contest. It's called Internet Survival Contest, or Internet Survival Challenge. So the contestants will stay in a room, and they will not they cannot contact any person they know. The only access to the outside world is internet. They have to manage to get food, to get water, to get amused, to be not too bored. So they have to spend a week in a room. That was 2 decades ago. It's actually extremely difficult. There's no Taobao, no Amazon, no delivery, no Grab. And 2 decades later, I think it's last year or 2 years ago, I heard of another contest. It's called No Internet Survival Challenge. People are asked to broadcast their life 24 hours for 7 days without using any internet. So people will observe how people act without internet. So what a reversal. Really interesting. Internet is a great invention. It looks almost perfect. We use it every day. In China, when you go to a restaurant, you use your phone to scan the QR code to order food, and then you pay for it. Sometimes you can even order it before you went to the restaurant. But is it really perfect? Is it really that only a few things can be done to the internet? Just do some incremental job to perfect it? Actually, people have similar situations happened with people almost 100 or a little more than 100 years ago. Lord Kelvin, the famous physicist, who did a speech about in 1900, he said there are only 2 little clouds in the sky of physics. Implied that the physics at that time is so perfect, is almost perfect. People or scientists only need to do some incremental job to solve 2 little problems, to make it perfect, to understand the ultimate secret of universe. The 2 problems are a failed experiment to prove the existence of ether, and also the black body radiation problem. Surprisingly, within a decade, these two problems are promptly addressed by scientists. Einstein released his paper of a specific relativity theory to solve the ether's existence problem. And then Planck invented quantum physics theory to solve the black body radiation problem. The solving of these two problems are anything but minor. It ignited a revolution of physics. The whole architecture of physics are fundamentally changed afterwards. It is known today as modern physics, comparing to classical physics. And today's internet, I believe there are also two little clouds. I summarize it as the horizontal isolation and the vertical friction. Let's look at horizontal isolation first. Today's internet giants, they are Facebook, Tencent, Alibaba, or Twitter. They're isolated silos. Data are kept in their own systems. And these systems do not talk to each other. Facebook's WhatsApp cannot send message to WeChat. WeChat Pay cannot send money to Alipay. And you cannot directly send a tweet from Weibo to Twitter. So it's completely isolated. And those giant internet companies are trying to create a barrier to maintain their network effect, to maintain the economies of scale, to prevent new competition. And the result is a monopoly and centralization, and abuse of user data, and also single point of failure. Two very good examples. Facebook users, 87 million Facebook users' data were exposed to Cambridge Analytica. And over 100 million users' personal information, including social security number and credit card information, was stolen, hacked from Equifax. So that's a critical isolation problem. The second problem is vertical friction problem. It hinders the fusion of digital, physical, and biological realms. There is a word called Industrial Revolution 4.0, which refers to the fusion of the digital world, the physical world, and the biological world. But today, because the immaturity of enabling technologies like IoT, 5G, or brain-computer interface, and lack of internationally accepted standards, digitization standards, or digital identity standards, and sometimes different regulations, it prevents us to merge the three words, to have a new industrial revolution. So that's the vertical friction. Some people may say, we probably need to do only small tweaks here and there. We just need to introduce new regulations like GDPR, or maybe we break up some monopolies will solve the problem. I don't think so. I think it's very comparable to the physics two little clouds. We need a completely revamp of the internet to resolve all these issues. An ideal internet will look like this. It will have these characteristics. First, you should encourage open source culture, so competitions can even learn from each other. Knowledge can be transmitted to other people. And it should be encouraging permissionless innovation, so developers, entrepreneurs can do their experiment to do some even disruptive innovations on it. And it should be interoperable. The standards should be open, should be transparent, so different systems can connect to each other, can talk to each other. And it should be decentralized, so we will not face the single point of failure problem. And also, most importantly, the data ownership should be given back to the users, and all business should be done in a privacy-preserving way. So these are the characteristic of an ideal internet. And I believe blockchain technology will be a crucial part of the ideal internet in the future. Gartner just put some numbers. He said blockchain industry will generate 3.1 trillion of new business value by 2013. By 2030, that's 10 years. So in 10 years' time, we have a lot of room to grow. And coincidentally, the 3.1 trillion just equals the combined market value, market cap of Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. So there are tremendous business opportunities to everyone in this industry to obtain in the next decade. We've imagined what the future internet should be, but what are the building blocks of the next generation internet? Let's have a closer look. First, I believe we need to have a solid technology foundation. The first layer, the future internet should be built in a layered way. So the bottom layer will be layer 0, or we call it network layer. There will be computer networks with internet protocols like TCP/IP. And there will be the Internet of Things, consists of different IoT devices. And then telecom technologies, 5G, to provide a low latency, high throughput network. And also other computational infrastructures, including cloud, including AI. So that will be the solid foundation for NGI, next generation internet. And this will be the layer to connect to the physical world. And on top of network layer will be layer 1, or state layer. At this layer, we will have decentralized ledgers and some centralized global ledgers. Different decentralized global ledgers will have their different scope. For example, there will be digital asset protocols. NEO will be one of them, along with other protocols like Ethereum or Bitcoin. And then there will be blockchains try to resolve the digital identity problem. Ontology is a project to introduce digital identity on the blockchain. And other blockchains probably will do distributed storage, for example, IPFS. And then there will still exist centralized global ledgers like SWIFT, like MasterCard, and other payment networks. And these protocols, these systems, will be linked together with the interoperability protocol. So systems are no longer isolated. There are existing projects trying to resolve the problem. For example, Cosmos, Polkadot. They're trying to promote a new blockchain ecosystem. They're trying to build something, and people can build under their new ecosystem. And also, they're mostly focusing on digital asset transfer. They're doing great. They're doing a good job. But for the next generation internet, I believe we need something. We need a different interoperability protocol. This is what NEO, Ontology, and other major blockchains who we signed NDA with are working on. So we will have a new, efficient, and inclusive interoperability protocol. So the problem we try to solve is to connect existing blockchains without hurting their ecosystem. So that's the first goal. And the second goal is to achieve transactional level atomicity and consistency. So it's not just for digital asset transfer. Digital asset transfer, or atomic swap, is just a subset of a transactional atomacy and consistency. So it's a completely new cross-chain protocol. It will be managed by a non-profit association. it is actually quite challenging to coordinate all the different public blockchains to work together. So we are actually hiring. If you are interested in working on this project, you can talk to me. And on top of layer 1 is a transaction layer. Within the transaction layer, most of the daily transactions will happen here. So we will have state channel, sidechain technologies like Raiden, Lightning Network, or Stellar to process blockchain transactions. We'll also have permissioned ledgers from R3, from Hyperledger, and then centralized local ledgers like Alipay, different gift cards and metro cards. And we will have a spectrum from decentralized to centralized. So that's the transaction layer. And the top layer, the final layer, will be the interface layer, which most of the users will have interaction with. There are different directions: browsers, wallet, communication, game. Every aspect will have a traditional, today's application, and they will have decentralized version. And with time, in the future, I believe today's mainstream internet application will become legacy application, and new decentralized applications will arise from marginal to alternative to mainstream. So there will be a lot of opportunities for us. So if we stack all the layers together, we will see from bottom the network to state to transaction to interface. It is very much like building a building. So I particularly like a quote from the father of computer, Alan Turing. He said, "We can only see a short distance ahead, but we can see plenty there that needs to be done." And last, a little advertisement. We have a meetup tonight at this place, starting 7 p.m. So if you are interested in NEO, interested in the ecosystem of NEO, please join us tonight. Thank you.